Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the first ever lecture of A2 Computer Science 9618. In A2 Computer Science, we have 8 chapters. Chapter number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Out of which there are two papers in A2 as well. Paper 3, Advanced Theory, and Paper 4, Practical. Paper 3 is conducted from the topics of all the chapters from chapter number 13 till chapter number 20. It basically consists of both theory and pseudocode, whereas paper number 4 or P4 is purely practical. It is a practical of 2.5 hours, and over there you'll be asked about concepts from chapter number 19 and 20 only. That being said, let's start. In today's lecture, we'll be discussing 13.1 user-defined data types. Now, you have had a brief introduction with user-defined data types previously in chapter number 10 as well, like the record data type. Over here in A2, we are going to study a little bit more about the user-defined data types. Because as you know previously, sometimes built-in data types such as integer, char, character, real, or in programming languages it is commonly known as float, or something like string is not enough. You are trying to store data that consists of multiple data types or specific values only. So for that you cannot rely on your built-in data types. You have to make your own data types. The user-defined data types can make your programs much easier to code, much easier to read and to debug. Once the data type has been defined, you can easily assign it to a variable or array, and then you can use it. The user-defined data types are only available if the programming language that you are using supports it. If the programming language do not offer support for such a construct, for creating your own data types, then you cannot use it. Nowadays, technically, almost every programming language offers UDTs or user-defined data types. However, there are a few exceptions, like JavaScript does not offer user-defined data types. The original B language did not offered UDTs as well. However, you should still keep that in mind. All the three programming languages which are allowed in our syllabus, Python, Visual Basic, and Java, all of them support user-defined data types. But still, as a precaution, you should remember not every programming language in the world supports this construct. Now, there are two types of user-defined data types. One are known as composite data types. The other ones are known as non-composite data types. Composite data types are those data types that consist of more than one types of data, or more than one data types. For example, records, as we have studied in chapter number 10, can consist different values of different data types under a single name. Whereas non-composite data types are those that can only hold values from a single data type, from a single basic or built-in data type. The examples for non-composite data types include pointers, enumerators, and for composite data types we have records, we have set, we have class, and objects. Non-composite data type enumerator. Enumerators are a group of basically they are a group of constant values, and they are used when you want to restrict that, okay, in a certain variable only one of a few fixed values can be inputted. Like, for example, for days of a week there are only 7 possibilities. For names of a month in a year there are only 12 possibilities. Now, instead of making month as a string, because in a string you cannot restrict it, the user can type in anything from January to December, or anything anything else as well. But if you make an enumerator data type, then the person would be forced to only choose or type in from January to December only. Now how you can do that? One thing you should remember, whenever you declare or define an enumerator, you have to give a list of all the possible values you want it to accept. Now how do we write it? For all UDTs we use the type keyword, then we write a name for it, we write the equal to sign, and then inside parenthesis we give all the possible values. For example, type season equals to spring, summer, autumn, winter. Now if somebody tries to input any other name, it will not be accepted. And now this line will help you create an enumerator UDT, and then you can assign it to a variable. For example, declare festival season, and the data type for that is season, that we just created. Without creating a UDT, you cannot use it. You are going to have a huge error. Now this variable can now have one of the four values, either spring, summer, autumn, or winter. It cannot have any fifth value or any other value apart from these values. For example, if you try to run this statement, festival season is assignment operator spring, it will be accepted. But if you try to write something like, instead of summer, you try to short it up and you write it like this, it will not be accepted. The value of the enumerator looks like string values, but they must not be enclosed in quotation marks because they are not strings. Remember that. The values defined in an enumerator are ordinal, like they are always given numbers accordingly. They have an implied order of values which can be used in programming languages. For example, a comparison statement can be used, like declare weekend equal as boolean, declare day as t days. Now this t days, you might have guessed, is supposed to be our enumerator. Weekend equals to true if day is greater than Friday, or if this is confusing you, if day is greater than Friday, then weekend equals to true. This would most likely make more sense to you. So what would happen if whatever is the value of the day, if it is greater than Friday, then weekend would be true, otherwise it would be false. This is how you can use the enumerator ordinal quality, or what you can say, property. Non-composite data types. The next example we have is known as pointers. Pointer, you have again heard this name before in chapter number 10 as well, when we discussed linked lists. So pointer is a data type that refers to a location in memory, or in simple terms, it basically stores the actual memory address of a certain value in form of indirect referencing or indirect addressing. Obtaining the value stored at the memory location is known as dereferencing. Now what is the syntax for making a pointer? We use the type keyword, then we write whatever name we want to give, equals to, always use this cap symbol. This shows that this is a pointer, and then you write the data type. For example, the data type indicates the type of data stored in the memory location. That's why we give the data type over here. For example, type int pointer or integer pointer, and the data type for that is integer. Declare my pointer as int pointer. If the content of memory location are required rather than the address, then the pointer can be dereferenced. Basically, we make a pointer data type so that if we want, we can use the value stored at that location, or if we want, we can use the memory location of that stored value. For example, declare num1, num2 as integer. Num1 is 100. My pointer @num1. Now @ basically means store the address of this variable in this pointer data type. As you know, I declared my pointer as a pointer data type. When this line will run, it will store the address, the memory location of num1 variable. Into this, it will not store the value 100 over here. Num2 equals to my pointer. Now if I want to use the value only and I don't want to concern myself with the memory address, I can use the cap symbol after the name of my variable. My pointer cap multiply by 2. Now this time, because of this cap symbol, it will get the original value or dereference the original value. It will not be bother, it will not show me, or it will not use the memory location. Whereas if I use the @ symbol, it will store the memory location. Now 200 will be stored in num2 because the value in my pointer is 100. The value in my pointer basically points to the variable num1 that contains the value 100. So it will be multiplied by 2 and the value will be stored in num2. Every programming language doesn't offer support for the user of a pointer data type. Those languages that do will have their own version of symbolism illustrated with this and this. However, for pseudocode, as the standard guide for pseudocode given by the Cambridge Examiner, for the sake of your paper, you have to use these symbols. Whereas for paper 4, if you have to use pointers, then whatever language you choose or your school chooses for you, you'll have to look, first of all, you'll have to verify whether it supports pointer data type or not, and then you'll have to look for the guideline of that language, or your teacher will tell you what symbol to use for pointer data types. Like for example, Python doesn't really support pointers, but anyways, that is a discussion for some other time. Then we have composite data types. The first example is a set. Sets are a composite data type that can be unordered. They are iterable, like they can be repeated. In simple terms, they are mutable and contains no duplicate elements. Mutable basically means the elements can change. Operations that you can perform on a set you can check whether a certain value already exists in the set or not. You can add a new value, you can remove a value, or you can add one set to another. This is just for the reference. Now, how would you declare a set data type? You'll write type, you'll write the name of it, and then you'll write equals to set of, this is a keyword, and then you'll write the data types. Now since this is a composite data type, you can write more than one data types. This is a, like over here you can write set of char, you can write set of string, you can write set of integer and string, so on. Okay, then you will need to use another keyword in the next line, define identifier to, like this will be actually the name of your set, and then in the parenthesis you'll write values, you'll write semicolon, and you'll write the name of the set data type that you just created. For example, type vowel set equals to set of char, define vowels AEIOU as vowel set. Always remember, whenever you're creating a set data type, you'll need to write these two lines. Next we have records. You already know how to make records, but let's have an overview of them again, because they are also a part of A2 syllabus. They are composite data types. They are just like your arrays, where one single variable can contain multiple values of different data types. They are incredibly useful and very popular. What is the syntax for it? You write the type and then you give a name, then you declare whatever fields you want inside your record. For example, declare identifier data type, declare field name data type, declare field name data type, and in the end you write end type. With any other data type you don't need to write end type at the end, but with record you have to do that. Just remember that. For example, type sales record, declare customer name as a string, date of birth as date, bill amount as real, and type. Now if you have to use it, you'll simply make a variable sales, and then you'll keep the data type as a record, whatever you have created. Composite data type, class and object. Class is a data type that can be used for an object in object-oriented programming. For now, just learn this term. That's it. You don't need to go in much depth because this is a topic from chapter number 20. An object is defined from a given class. Like if you want to use an object, you basically have to create a class first. You can create several objects from the same class, and this will in detail be covered in section 20 or chapter number 20. For now, that's it. This is the complete 13.1, the basics that you need to know for your A2 or A levels computer science, chapter number 13, section number 1. And I'll see you guys in the next lecture, and inshallah we'll continue. Do let me know in the comments whether you find it useful or not. If you have any questions, you can ask. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I'll see you guys in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.